Hello. So in 2021, I read more books than I have in a year than I have in a long time. I set a goal on Goodreads to read 50 books, which was too many. I didn't read 50, but I did read 29. Actually, I thought I read 30, but I just went back and looked and it recorded Anna and the French Kiss twice. It was very misleading, but 29 is still a lot more. This is my reading numbers in the past 3 years, so you can tell that this is my best yet. In 2022, I've set a goal for 40 books. I think that's more achievable. Okay, so I read 29 books, and I will say I don't remember much about any of them. Like, I saw a TikTok the other day and it was like, is this your favorite book? And the girl was like, yeah. And then it was like, okay, tell me about it. And she was like, I can't, I don't remember it. And that is exactly how I feel. I only remember how I felt about it. Anyway, I track my books using Goodreads. I know there's a new one that's come out called Storygraph, but as far as I can tell, it's kind of still, like, a lot of their stuff is like beta features. For the time being, I like Goodreads a bit more, although it is outdated. You know, Storygraph, you can give ratings of 0.25, 0.5, 0.75. You can also categorize books as did not finish, which is useful. Okay, anyway, here we go. First one, Wicked Fox by Kat Chow. Okay, it's about a girl who is actually a nine-tailed fox, and her mother's also a nine-tailed fox. She struggles with it. I think she falls in love with a mortal boy, and her mother is like, no, men are evil. I remember not liking it and being bored. The plot was not very engaging, which was unfortunate because I really liked that there was so much Korean lore about the nine-tailed fox and like legends and Asian characters, and I liked reading that. But no, it was not for me. Truly Devious. I read the entire series, so Truly Devious. The second one's The Vanishing Stair, the third one's The Hand on the Wall. This was really good. It gave me Sherlock in a Vermont boarding school 16-year-old girl type of way. If you've ever read A Study in Charlotte, it kind of reminded me of that. Okay, yes, it's about this girl, Stevie Bell, who loves true crime. She gets into this prestigious Elfhame Academy, and then she wants to solve one of the greatest unsolved crimes of American history. Yeah, it's good. Her classmates start dying. Crime and Academy. Yeah, it's all very good. Next, Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I really liked this one. I gave it 4 stars. Very popular, as it should be. Oh, it got Goodreads Choice 2019. This one is a romance between the first son, Alex Claremont Diaz, and the prince. Like Prince Harry, but it's Prince Henry. It's enemies to lovers, guys. They hate each other. There's like a debacle at a wedding. And the first son's mother, the president, is like, you gotta fix this. This is a PR nightmare. So they do a staged friendship, which of course turns into a relationship. And this one was Wattpaddy in all of the best ways. I will say this one had a lot of sex scenes, and I just wasn't expecting it based on the cover. I was not expecting it to be that smutty. Next, I read How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories, because in 2020 I reread the trilogy, Cruel Prince, Wicked King, Queen of Nothing. Then in 2021 I read this. It's like a bonus installment. I read it in like an hour. It's kind of in the form of picture book, like fairy tale stories about Carden growing up and how he learned to be cruel, basically. There are a bunch of lovely illustrations. A really quick afternoon read. Okay, then I read the entire An Ember in the Ashes series by Sabaa Tahir. Oh, this is my first 5-star rating of the year. That was amazing. I remember saying it was a bit like Hunger Games mixed with like, I don't know, Shatter Me. This is not to say that it felt overdone / unoriginal. It was very different from all of those, but it gave me the same feeling. Oh, and Throne of Glass. That's what it reminded me of. In the way that it starts out as a girl rebelling against the Empire. Then we introduce magic, and there are many characters, and you alternate between different points of view. There are 4 books. The scope of the series widens so much by the end, and by the end it's truly very epic. Yeah, if you like those kinds of series, highly recommend. If you hate reading points of view of characters that you don't like, Like, a lot of people complain about having to read Jason's point of view in Heroes of Olympus. Yeah, if you don't like that, then you're gonna have to get through it. But I enjoyed reading almost everybody. Well, no, sometimes I was a bit bored by Elias. Okay, then I read The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. This one was interesting. It's kind of historical fiction. It's about the Mozart siblings, specifically Nannerl, Wolfgang's older sister, who was also a pianist, but obviously history does not really remember her. As a young woman in that time, she was not meant to have her own career in 18th century Europe. But it's very interesting because it's like a retelling of history in which Nannerl and Wolfgang get introduced into this magical fairy kingdom called the Kingdom of Back, and that's where they get all of this inspiration for the melodies that they compose. And that was really cool. I only gave it 2 stars because unfortunately I got very bored. I think there just wasn't very much that was motivating the characters in the plot. They kind of would just get plagued by this fairy prince, like, as they were growing up, and he kept like trying to lure them into the Kingdom of Back. Yeah, and then they got sick a bunch of times with some, I don't know, the scarlet fever, I don't remember, but I thought it was a very inventive story, but also nearly did not finish. Next, Daisy Jones and the Six. Of course, amazing. I gave it 5 stars. It's by Taylor Jenkins Reid, who is a hot topic. This is actually the only book that I've read of hers. I still haven't read Malibu Rising or Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which is a huge one, but I loved Daisy Jones and the Six. At the end, I genuinely felt heartbreak because I couldn't listen to their album. I wanted so badly to hear that album. All these songs that I've heard about. I think at the end they put this picture of like what the album cover would look like if it was real. It was very cool. I was watching a video of someone who was like, I searched it up on Spotify and I realized that like the whole thing wasn't real. That's just how realistic it is. When I heard about this book, I was worried that I would be bored because it doesn't sound like there's much plot. It's like the 60s LA rock and roll scene, and I am not part of that scene. I don't really listen to rock and roll and I don't know anything about it, but I was so invested in this book. So don't worry about being bored. There's just something about the way it's written where you feel really connected to the characters and you really want to know where they go next. I read Big Little Lies by Liane Moriarty. I also watched the show after this. Both were very good. I gave it 5 stars actually, which is surprising. I don't even remember why. It felt very juicy, but also like a good piece of writing. Like, it didn't feel just like idle gossip. I think some people didn't like it because they were like, we don't care, like this person on Goodreads says, that they don't care about the pettiness of white middle class and upper class womanhood, etc. Yes, it is very much about middle class white ladies, but you've just got to know that going in and don't expect more, you know? I read it for the suspense and like the twists, and that did not disappoint. Next, Night Circus. This one was hard because some people love Erin Morgenstern. There's another one called like The Starless Sea. I think I actually did try and start reading that one, but I couldn't do it. I gave The Night Circus 4 stars. Erin Morgenstern's writing it has so much imagery. It's really rich. If you like reading beautiful writing, picturing these vivid scenes, you should read Erin Morgenstern's books. You know, sometimes I get bored reading description, but like, that's what makes it so nice. But yeah, The Night Circus is about a fierce competition between 2 magicians, Celia and Marco, and it follows them as they grow up. Basically, their competition revolves around this traveling circus that's very mysterious and magical. They like secretly do exhibitions in the circus. I gave it 4 stars because sometimes you're like, why are they doing this? What is so grand about their competition? Why is it like life or death? Like, what's happening? But it was very beautifully told. Next, these are easy and I won't talk about them very much, but I basically read like all of Leigh Bardugo's books. I read the Shadow and Bone trilogy, Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, Ruin and Rising. Then I read Six of Crows, Crooked Kingdom. Then I read King of Scars, Rule of Wolves. Loved them all. I think King of Scars and Rule of Wolves, definitely read them after you've read the other ones because it really builds on the universe and the existing characters, and you'll care a lot more if you already know and love the characters. Okay, then I read Lore by Alexandra Bracken. This one was an interesting concept. I gave it 2 stars though. It's an urban fantasy, so it's set in New York City. It's about this contest that happens every 7 years called the Agon. A bunch of houses come together and basically try and kill each other. Yeah, and then the main character's name is Lore, and she does not want to be part of the competition anymore, but then she has to be because Athena begs her for her protection. It's a very interesting premise. It kind of fell short for me. I think for these, it's usually because I don't care about the characters and I don't find there to be a point in the plot, or the plot is moving very slowly. Then I read 9th House by Leigh Bardugo, which is not part of the Grishaverse. I really liked it, and there's supposed to be a second book. I feel like the entire thing is a build-up for the second book, so I'm really excited for that. If you would like dark academia, read 9th House. It's also a bit of an urban fantasy. It's about a girl named Alex who becomes part of Yale's secret societies. A little bit of a hint, there is supernatural stuff. I really liked it. Some people complained because there are some like really crude scenes. Yeah, there are some scenes that are a bit gross. Then I read Anna and the French Kiss, which I read when I was in grade 8. Classic. Not very thought-provoking, quite shallow, but one of the OG romance books. Yeah, very little diversity, not much sense, quite fluffy. That's Anna and the French Kiss. It just holds a special place in my heart. Then I read Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. I think this one is pretty beloved, and rightly so. It's very beautiful as well. A lot of short poetic sentences because the narrator himself isn't very outspoken, so hearing from his point of view, he's very restrained but also deeply emotional. It is kind of a love story but also talks a lot about family. Okay, then I read Little Fires Everywhere. This one was really good. I remember I finished it while I was studying on campus and I started crying. Not fully crying, but just like tearing up. I associate it with Big Little Lies because Reese Witherspoon is also starring in this one. But it's quite different. But it also talks about like suburban secrets. It's set in a placid, progressive suburb. And then it's about a mother-daughter duo who move in. This perfect family unit. That is the Richardsons. The Richardsons kind of like take them in, but then like it all goes badly and there is fire. I don't remember why I didn't give it 5 stars, but there must have been a reason. But I really liked it. Okay, then I read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, widely talked about as well last year. It's a really cool romance, very much like Age of Adeline, in that this lady lives throughout history, never aging, never getting ugly. I thought it was really good, but I think it was hyped up too much for me. At some point, you just don't really trust that the character is as deep and admirable as she's like being portrayed. Because there were some points in the story where I was just like, okay, we get it. You are tired of living. The main conflict in the novel kind of gets overworn and you're wondering where's the story going. I really enjoyed reading her writing. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Vuong. This one was recommended by a family friend. I gave it 3 stars. This one I could tell it was gorgeous, but a lot of it went over my head, or like over my heart, I guess. Like I didn't really know how to feel. I didn't really understand. I think if somebody was explaining to me like different sections of the book, I would probably be able to have a better informed opinion on it, and maybe it would then be 5 stars. I was like, I can tell there's so much meaning behind these words, but I just don't think I've experienced enough of life to really connect with it. I guess what I'm trying to say is this one is pretty abstract. It's like poetic prose. It's written in the form of the main character writing to his mother. Like the entire time I felt that he was asking, do you see me now? If I show you this, like, do you understand me now? Yeah, I'd have to reread it. Definitely. I think when I'm older I want to reread it. The last book that I read is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This one I had on hold at the library for so long. Very grateful that I finally got it. It is highly in demand. I gave it 4 stars. It was really good. I thought I was gonna cry. I did not. Not to say that it wasn't poignant or touching or sad or anything. It was all of those things. I kind of expected it to be very difficult to read because it was Greek mythology. Like I thought it would be like archaic, but it was like drinking like a smooth cup of coffee. Also, I read it on vacation, so maybe that's why I felt that way. I feel that that one lived up to the hype. I was also really grateful to be immersed in Greek mythology again because I am a deep Percy Jackson lover. I should reread that also. Very excited for the Disney Plus show. Okay, I'm gonna give you my top 5. I'm going to use series as one. Okay, so my top book / series 2021 was 6 of Crows Crooked Kingdom. Who is surprised? I mean, it's the first video on my channel, and you'll probably be able to tell how much I love it. Second is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. This one I cried, I laughed. I was so invested in it. I think I was as invested in this series as I was for 6 of Crows, which was a lot. Third one, I will have to say Daisy Jones and the Six. It was phenomenal. It was really good. It was just really good. Fourth book, I think Song of Achilles. It was also the last book that I read of the year, and I felt that that was a really good note to end on. Haha, get it? Note. Song. Okay. Last, 5th one. I think it's a tie between Invisible Life of Addie, LaRue and Little Fires Everywhere. One is more fantasy and one is more contemporary. I usually read more fantasy, so it's nice when I really like a contemporary book because it's like a pleasant surprise for me. I hope you weren't expecting to hear what those books were about because I feel that for some of them I really didn't say. But it's okay, like, just Google it and you can read the synopsis and that'll put it way better than I would ever. So yes, wish me luck for my 2022 reading challenge. I really hope to get to 40. I think I can. I have read 3 so far, and it's only January 14th. Anyway, goodbye.